Greetings, everyone. So today I got a strike on YouTube, which is interesting. And it's probably my fault because I labeled one of my videos, Child R is not out 2D. And that was pushing it. You know, I put the little asterisk sign in there. But YouTube gave me a strike. They said they don't want predators online. And you guys obviously know that I am a champion for children. So I appealed it. Apparently, I looked it up online. They say YouTube, a real human being, will look at the strike or the appeal. So hopefully it gets done soon. And I have other YouTube channels out here floating around somewhere. I just don't remember my password at the moment, but I've got it all written down somewhere. But I probably should have a backup. And I mean, worst case scenario, it was a Scientologist that flagged it, but I don't think so. I think it was just because I was brazen enough to title something like that. And it's a story that it was an actual story that I read of a Scientologist who was art as a child. So hopefully that appeal goes through. So I decided I'm going to still keep recording videos. The thing that bugs me is that the momentum on my channel is going, and then now I'm going to lose that momentum. But, you know, I've got other things to do. But I do feel a little bit of a responsibility because you guys are liking my videos, and I appreciate it. And I want to keep recording these. So what I'm going to talk about today is narcissistic fake concern. We've all gone through this, and there's really no way to know if someone is giving you fake concern until you get a little bit older and you're like, wait a minute, something's not right. And it's kind of the old-fashioned saying, you know, actions louder than words. But one thing that I've noticed about fake concern is it's always over the top. We were worried about you. You know, like the whole world's coming to an end. We were so concerned. And honestly, if you deal with something like this at a workplace, just know it's a manipulation. Because one, the truth of it is, you can get along well with your coworkers and all that, and you might even become friends with some of them. But the truth is, it's a job. So there should be boundaries. And one thing that I never could stand, and I got some interesting stories. One job I was fired from, and it was actually just abysmal anyways. But it was all this fake concern. In fact, I'm going to use that as an example. So, I'm not, like, how do you say it in Spanish? Idiota. I'm not like the stupidest person around, that's for sure. I might not be the most knowledgeable in everything, but I can assure you, I have a few brain cells in my head. So the mistake that I made, first of all, is going back to work at this place that I had issues with many years ago. Many years ago, had been an administrative assistant at this job. And then to make a long story short, the person who owned the temp agency was a temp agency. She sent me to a really extremely dangerous neighborhood. And like my PTSD and all that came out really bad, and I did not want to go back to that place. And then she didn't pay me, which is illegal. It was like super illegal. So my father told me to get the I think it's called the Wage and Trade Commission. I don't know what it's called now, but anyways, I got my money recouped. But many, many years later, I took the job at the same place as a permanent employee, as a social worker, and it was just a complete setup, really. And it would have been an okay job for the moment if it wasn't a full-blown narcissist running it. So right away, I haven't even been there very long, and one of the managers, her name was Joanne, it's my mother's name. Her name was Joanne, and she kept saying, like, first of all, she would want to have these private talks with me, not in front of everyone, because the workplace was very, very, very small. If you guys have ever worked in a place like that, man, it's just so uncomfortable when the office space is just cramped together and nobody has any privacy. It was pretty awful. At the time I needed to work, so, you know. But this manager, she keeps taking me outside of the office to talk privately. And then one time she even asked me to go into the basement with her, which was weird, because the basement had this little break room that nobody really used. It was really weird. And she kept hinting that I have a learning disability. And no shade to people who have that. You know, I do have some dyslexia, but there were no problems. But you see, what it was, and it was this fake concern, it was setting me up to feel inadequate and less than. And if I was making some really terrible mistakes, I would have admitted it, but it wasn't that. She was trying to, mind you, I've got this college degree from a prestigious university. I'm in a sorority. What do you call those things? Sorority. And I didn't just fall off the bus, you know. I helped a lot of people in school. But she would make her voice like this, like, we're just concerned about you. You know, your reports don't look good, and all this stuff. It was really crazy. And I don't even want to get too deep into the details of this job, but it was just another nonprofit social work, life-sucking type of job. But, you know, I did enjoy working with elderly people, and I love working with people in the community. But the way it was set up, you know, anytime you're working for government, it was all about keeping very meticulous notes, where you are, how long your travel time was. And they were just so controlling about it. And honestly, I don't remember exactly what this manager was saying, but she was just so rude. And she was like, we're just so concerned about you. And I honestly hadn't even been there long at all. At all. And I already knew from probably within 3 days of working there that the person before me got fired. So that should have told me right there. You know, you guys have all probably worked in places like that, you know, when you got to take a job, or you just got the wrong one or whatever. So really, that right away was just boundaries. Why would you be concerned about me? You're my manager at a job. You know what I mean? I don't think I've gotten that as much from family members, me personally. But to me, it always seems like when fake concern comes in, number one, it's over the top. We're so concerned about you. We're concerned. Like that sing-songy voice that Ollie Matthews talks about. So, or like the concern might be one, out of context. It doesn't fit the situation. Or it completely breaks all kind of boundaries. I think of this one situation I had when I lived in New York. Now this is narcissism, but it's just more predatory. I lived in a rooming house in New York. Actually, Madonna used to live there. That's an interesting story. And that's a true fact. I could back it up. But anyways, I was new to New York, so I was just kind of getting a feel of the neighborhood and all that. I lived in Hell's Kitchen. And, well, you know how you're going to find predatory people there. And, of course, guys were checking me out. You know how it is, guys and girls checking each other out. But this guy, I remember, he lived pretty close to me. I don't know exactly where, but I used to see him all the time. And he's like, one day I had a bag of groceries, just one bag. And he was saying, do you need help with that? Which, on like one hand, if I had known him really well, it might have been okay. But any women with good street smarts, that's usually predators that want to R you will use those kinds of tactics. So I don't even know, I guess that's not, I guess it is concern, right? It's like a fake concern. Oh, he wants to help me with my groceries. And I remember listening to a TV show years ago about Berkowitz, was he the Zodiac killer? I think so. He was one of those serial Killer, and that was a real ploy that he used to use is, oh, I broke my arm, could you help me get things into my van or something like that. So fake concern can go way over the top. So again, it's like I also think child predators use it as well to bring in children, oh, look at my puppy, or I can't find my puppy, or, some sickness like that. So anytime somebody that you don't know from Adam is trying to tell you that they're concerned about you, you should be a little bit, you personally should be a little worried. Or it's used a lot in workplaces. And honestly, if I would look back on it, I probably went through that a lot. And not everyone that you work with are narcissistic, toxic type people. But the ones that are trying to manipulate you to do what they want you to do, or especially, I really feel like one of the biggest goals of a narcissistic, toxic person, manipulator, is they want to make you feel lesser than. That's the biggest goal right there. So, yeah, looking back, that fake concern. Or even if a person is showing you this fake concern and it leads to something. Okay, I just thought of one that's really good. Hold on. Just have to remember not to delete these videos. Fake concern. Okay, we've all seen this. When you're talking about unhealthy families where an elderly person or even a very disabled, sickly person is near death, and all of these parasites come out of the woodwork. That would be a really good example of where you see fake concern. Hi, Grandma, I love you. Did you finish your will yet? You know what I mean? I'd also have to blanket more narcissistic, predatory lawyers in there with that. But ultimately, you're going to know that it's not legitimate or authentic kind of by how it feels. But like I said in some of my other videos, you don't know you're going through these kinds of things really until you get out of it. I mean, you sometimes if you've studied it a lot, then you might have a better gauge. But if you're surrounded by toxic, narcissistic people, like 24/7, you're gonna be exhausted. Two, you're gonna be getting gaslit so much that you really won't know one thing from the other. Because to keep a person in perpetual confusion is what helps these kinds of people to be in control of you, to stay in control of you, to get you to do what they want you to do. I'm sure we've seen it in the last 3 years with all the fake concern from government and all that. You know what I mean? And honestly, I kind of feel bad for you guys if you fell for it, but, life goes on. I'm sitting here trying to think of some other examples. But the motivation, too, will tell you a lot about these toxic kind of people. Have you ever heard a person say, "What's in it for me?" I have. And honestly, where I'm at in my life now, that would really tip me off to think something's not right. Because if that's really the way a person's always thinking, that tells you who they are. That's their motivation. What's in it for me? I mean, it's different if somebody's joking. Like, maybe somebody's joking a little bit. But if they say that a lot, or, that's kind of what runs their mind program, something to be careful of. Fake concern. Fake concern comes when you're ill. Fake concern comes when you have an injury. Fake concern comes like in those times when things are really messed up in your life. In fact, I don't want to veer off too much, but fake concern will come in when you're at the lowest in your life, like just things are just in a bad way. And all narcissistic people are very predatory. They will swoop in and they will make you think they care about you with like fake concern. Well, I love you, I'm going to help you. Whatever it is they tell you. And little do you know, you're going to give up where you live, you're going to give up your car, whatever it is, you're going to give up everything because you're in a bad way. And then, just like a vulture, when you've given up everything, then you're going to see their true colors. Just like a lot of narcissists that swoop in and try to sweep you off your feet, love bombing and all these things. You decide to get married, and then boom, the mask comes off. So you got the love bombing, and then you've got the fake concern. But fake concern can come anywhere. But if you understand why they do what they do, at the end of the day, everything is a manipulation. It's to feed their ego because they don't feel good about themselves, and they use all different tactics in order to get what they want, to get you to do what they want you to do. So it could come from a principal at school, it could come from a teacher, although they're real good. The more narcissistic type teachers are real good for that crap. Oh, we're concerned about you. Meanwhile, while you've got 10 teachers, 2 counselors telling you how inadequate and inept and what a loser you are, and that you're not smart, or you're not going to pass 11th grade or whatever it is. A lot of times they'll team up. And you have to remember, what kind of people do that to other people. So, yeah, fake concern. fake concern from schools, fake concern from, people at schools, fake concern from people at workplaces, fake concern from neighbors, whomever it is. You just have to be able to tell what's going on by how you feel. But really, your intuition can be thrown really far off when you're immersed into complete toxicity in your environment. So the best thing to do is try to get away. But anyways, this is it for narcissistic fake concern. I hope that this helps you, and have a good day or a good night wherever you are.